Hello and welcome back to Hop to the Top on the TomFM channel. Hope you're all doing well today. A slight change to the schedule today because we're only playing 2 games now. We've got St. Gallen in the league and then Legia Warsaw in their Europa League. The reason we're not doing that Club Brugge game anymore is because before the Club Brugge game, we'd actually qualified because results going in our favour. So I'll talk to you about that, but there was no point playing 2 Europa League games when we'd already qualified. So just for 2 games today to sort of go back to a little bit of normality. Although at the moment, 3 games an episode feels like normality rather than 2 games. Now, since you were last here, things have gone very, very well, as you can see by the enormity of green. There's one bit of red in there, but enormity of green. You were last here for the wins against Copenhagen, Sion and Club Brugge. Since then, we started off against Young Boys and Elhaj Colley scored a hat-trick in a game where we won 4-0 against them. That was absolutely massive. So since you were last here, things have gone very well, as you can see by all the green, a little bit of red, but all of the green pretty much. You were last here, of course, for the Copenhagen win, the Sion win and the Club Brugge win. The first game after that was a massive win against Young Boys. Elhaj Colley with a hat-trick and Jake Allen with the 4th to make it 4-0 against Young Boys. I couldn't quite believe my eyes when I played that one. It's like we beat them 5-1 last season as well. I'm not quite sure how we did it, but we somehow did. We then picked up a 2-1 win over Toon. Colley with the brace in that one, so that was fantastic. And then we played Legia Warsaw and won 1-0 against them. Felipe Cruz with a goal very late on. But that win put us far enough ahead of Copenhagen in 3rd place to mean that we actually qualified from the group. So I was a bit surprised. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't really think about the maths of it. But by that point, 4 games into the Europa League group stages, we'd qualified, so I was very happy with that. That was followed up by the first loss for quite a long time. The first loss since PSV, our first loss of the league season as well, against Basel. 2-1. Coley scored a goal in the 17th minute, but then Gonzalo got sent off in the 58th minute. And despite our best efforts, we just couldn't quite hold on. Basel came back and scored 2 goals. So I blame Gonzalo completely for that one, but it's something happens every now and again, and we have to lose games. And that one went to Basel. We did lose, but then we fought back last time by beating Bruges 3-0 at home. Tim Wright, Coley, and Jake Allen with the goals in that one. So Coley, coming back after his injury, has gone on to score a lot of goals and has now got 19 goals in all appearances, 14 appearances. So he's doing very well for himself. Because of it, he was asking for a new contract and I didn't want to upset him, so we've given him a new contract. He's now on £6,500 per week. He wanted £9,000 a week, up from £1,500 a week that he was on. So he's had a massive pay rise, but not quite as big as he wanted. But I've got to say, he deserves it. He definitely deserves it. Last season, 18 goals in the league, 26 overall. This season so far, as I said, 19 goals in 14 games. You love to see it. Injury-wise, it's looking okay. Patrick Hartman's been out for a couple of days with a bruised knee, but Molnar is looking to come back soon. He might not be back until after the winter break. He's still got 5 weeks to go with his hip injury, but luckily we haven't missed him because Coley has been the one bagging the goals. So as I previously mentioned, we are top of our Europa League group, qualified from that, qualified first as well because obviously only 1 game to go. Club Brugge, can't get past us, so that's pretty good. So as previously mentioned, we've qualified from our Europa League group. We've qualified first as well because we're more than 3 points ahead of Club Brugge, which is fantastic. And in the Super League, we are currently sitting in 2nd. However, we've got a game in hand on Basel ahead of us, who must have just lost their game or something like that. They lost to Young Boys 5-2, incidentally. So Young Boys are now level on points with us, but we've got a game in hand on them too. So winning today will put us 2 points ahead of Basel and 3 points ahead of Young Boys. But Luzerne, they're doing all right. In recent weeks, Luzerne have won a few games and they're doing well. They could break into the top 3 as well. But they're not getting to the top 3 with the help of Sukachev. That absolute snake, left for the money, has barely played any games. He's made 1 start, but 7 substitute appearances. Not playing particularly well either. You should have stayed with us, mate. You should have stayed with us. Not that we would have used you either, really, if I'm being honest with yourself, but it's nice to have players want to be loyal to the club. So before I announce the lineup for the St. Gallen game, Hartman obviously got a knock, so he's got to come off the bench. And we're going to put Kodra on the bench, but he's not called Kodra anymore. I pointed out last episode he's a regen that hasn't been claimed yet and looks pretty good, so he has finally been claimed, which I think is probably deserved. So Jordan Platt, congratulations. You are now Kodra, or is Kodra now Jordan Platt? So again, if you want to get involved with the Patreon and get regens named after you, then there's going to be a link on top of the screen right now in the description as well, so get involved. To be fair, Platt has got the makings of a good striker. That striker love heart is what you want to see. It just needs to be bigger. Once it gets bigger, it gets better. So the lineup then. Fruchtel stays in goal as per usual with Boone, Augusto, Callum Brennan in defence today. Gonzalo is suspended. Surprise, surprise. Cruz maintains his usual place on the right-hand side of the pitch. He's currently in the league. It's a 7.96 in the league. Overall, it's an 8.01. He's played fantastically. Illich and Schneider maintain their usual midfield partnership now that they're both sort of back from little injuries that they've had. Playing on the right-hand side of the attacking midfield is Alan, but playing on the left is Tim Wright, which actually doesn't make sense really. Tim Wright should be playing on the right. That would make a lot more sense, wouldn't it? But they're now inside forwards. Used to be a winger and an inverted winger, but I thought let's try inside forwards instead because they both prefer playing like that. So this is the first time I'm going to give inside forwards a go. Alex Smith in that usual attacking midfielder role, and Coley is leading the line. Already 19 goals this season. Can he make it 20 today? I would think so. So then kickoff is upon us here today against St. Gallen. Hopefully we get the win to go top of the table. That would be absolutely superb. First highlight of the game is coming towards St. Gallen, actually. Interestingly, we put the pressure on there, but they do manage to get the ball out of defence. And looking forward, that's a great ball forward. One-on-one with the keeper, and he goes around Fruchtel. And 10 minutes in, we are 1-0 down. Not how I wanted the game to start. And they're looking to grab a second goal now, which is a little bit worrying, actually, as they play the ball back to their keeper in the end. No one pressing him, though. Finally, a little bit of pressure, but it's too late as they look to play it back to the keeper again. They are really looking to keep hold of possession. They're trying a big possessional players. We've messed up the defence there. Augusto finally gets in there, and Coley this time is through at the end of the pitch. He nearly scores a goal to level things up. So despite the dominance in the stats that we're having right now, we're not really seeing any dominance on the pitch, unfortunately. No real chances for us at all in this first half, and really we should be creating plenty of them as Augusto into Schneider, back to Illich. Augusto now up towards Tim Wright, who's now playing as an inside forward. Perhaps it's the inside forwards that aren't working properly, I don't know. Boone into Allen. Oh, so close. But straight away, St. Gallen looking to get to the other end of the pitch. They've looked... on the stats, they're not the better side, but in the highlights, they seem to have been the better side with their chances they're creating for themselves and taking. And Bamba coming forward on the ball, gets it out to his right back, who can put the cross in the middle. Not quite in the middle, but he gets the ball out to someone, and they're sort of passing it between themselves as we can't get a touch of it right now. We can't get a touch of it. They're a very good passing side, St. Gallen, and they put the ball into the middle, and it hits the crossbar and is eventually turned back in. 14 shots to 4 shots, and we are 2-0 down. So, we need to go a bit aggressive at half-time, I think. Aggressively, your pride's at stake today. You're letting yourselves down. Sort it out. Quite frankly, though, no one's actually playing that badly. That's the thing. We've got players with regards to the away side I'm looking at the wrong bloody thing. They're the ones playing very well as Coley comes close. I was looking at the ratings on this side, but it's actually, when we get back to the screen that has ratings on it, it's this side. So we can actually see who is playing badly. I was looking at this side thinking, well, no one's playing that badly. What's going on, really? But actually, I was looking at the wrong thing. So actually, Coley's playing badly. Smith's playing... Smith. We need to talk about Smith after this. You need to sort yourself out, Smith. So Coley's going to come off for Jordan Platt. Go out there and have a go, matey. Smith can also come off as well for Spina. We're also going to shout out there, show some passion, because we need to show some passion to actually do something in today's game, as their man's just been given a yellow card. We've now got a free kick, which Allen's taking, not Schneider. Schneider should be taking it, as Allen puts it wide. This is not a performance that I wanted to see from us today. After playing so well in between episodes, even the loss to Basel, we played really well. Just when we went down to 10 men, that sort of things didn't work out for us. As Platt's having a shot there, not quite getting it. Come on, lads. From this corner, I want a goal. Felipe Cruz in the middle. Allen. Oh, over. Seriously, boys. What's going on here? This was our chance to go top of the table by 2 points, and we've bottled it. It's 27 shots we've had to their 6 shots. They've only had 3 on target, and they've scored 2 of them. The shooting boots were not on today. We have played badly. Apart from Cruz, he always plays well. He's on a 7.1 rating, so well done, Cruz. So I was expecting us to go top of the table, but we haven't. We haven't. St. Gallen trying to stay on the tail of Servette, who had such a good start to the season. It's just dropped off completely to the point we're now 5th and within touching distance of St. Gallen. Zurich have picked up a few wins, though, in between episodes, which is good to see. I'm glad to see them getting some points. If they can get themselves out of the bottom 2, that'll be good as well. I know as the Grasshoppers manager, I shouldn't be wanting Zurich to do well, but we sell out our stadium when we play against them, so I want them to do well so we can get sellouts and get more money. So we need to massively improve for the game against Legia Warsaw. Now, We don't need to because we've already qualified from the group, so we don't actually have to win, but we want to win. We want to keep that momentum going, especially because the winter break is just around the corner. We've got the Legia Warsaw game, then a Servette game in the Cup, then Lugano, and then the big winter... No, actually, the Servette game was the last one before the winter break. Lugano is the first one back after winter break, which seems quite early this year. It's November, though. It's 2022, so that might be to do with the World Cup, perhaps. So the World Cup goes on from the end of November. The final, I suppose, is going to be on the end of December. So actually, yeah, the winter break has come early this year because of the World Cup. Thought it was earlier than usual, because if we go back to last season, the last game before winter break is the 12th of December there, so I thought that was early. I don't think any of our players are playing in the World Cup, though. Maybe in a few seasons' time, we've got a few Swiss players that could be playing on the Swiss national side, but I don't think anyone's going to be called up this time around. Oh no, I was lying to you. Randy Schneider has been called up to the Swiss squad. Now, I'm not sure if that's for the World Cup. I don't think that is the World Cup squad. Or is it? Well, first of all, are Switzerland actually in the World Cup? But they're not in the World Cup, so it makes sense. But very, very good to see that Schneider has been recognised and is called up to the first team now. That's fantastic. So for the game against Legia Warsaw, we have actually got the luxury of having a week off before the Servette game, although 15 players on international duty for the Cup game. That could be tricky. What it means is, though, we can put out a full-strength lineup. And first of all, we can put Gonzalo back on the pitch alongside Augusto. And what feels like the first time in a long time, we've actually got our first choice backline back in the squad. And actually, that is literally the strongest squad we've got at the moment, I think, at our disposal. So we won't make any more changes. It's a squad that lost 2-0 last time out, obviously, pretty much, apart from one change. But that was an anomaly, I'm going to say. We should have enough about ourselves to beat Legia Warsaw today. So then, kickoff is upon us for the final time in 2022. Obviously, you'll see us back in 2023 after the winter break, which is quite exciting. But we want to try and get a win here today. We'll also, at the end of the game, update you on all of the Swiss sides. Fingers crossed they all qualify into the knockout stages. Obviously, young boys, and we've just won a penalty. I think it's going to the VAR, VAR footage. As I was saying, though, we've qualified. I think young boys have. I suppose while we're here, we can have a quick look. Young boys, looks like they have qualified. Young boys have qualified, which is good to see. Other games kicking off later on. Basel, I think, might not have qualified. I think they are running a little bit of a risk. I think they might have just knocked out. And obviously as well, St. Gallen and Lugano are both in the Europa Conference League. So fingers crossed they've got through their groups there. And then we can have as many teams as possible into the knockout stage of European football. That's going to be fantastic. As Randy Schneider scores his penalty just underneath the keeper there. Fantastic stuff. Only his third goal of the season, but he has picked up 9 assists so far this season. So he's been very good from the assist-making perspective, as Legia Warsaw came very close to scoring there. We managed to get the ball away just about, but they are coming back at us now, trying to keep hold of possession, although Augusto clears it. And Coley on the counter-attack, he's so good at this, isn't he? Scores a 20th goal of the season. You love to see it. Coley, he is so good at just hanging on to the last defender, waiting for that ball over the top. And he's just got the pace to beat everyone to get there. And that's why he scores so many goals. Beautiful stuff. So 2-0 after 10 minutes. If only we could have done that against St. Gallen rather than them do it to us. That would have been nice. It doesn't matter too much. We've still got a long way to go left in the league season. But it would have been nice to go top of the table. Late in this first half now, we are looking to grab a third goal as Felipe Cruz puts it in towards Alex Smith, who hits the crossbar. Smith, again, I forgot to talk about it with you. After this, we'll talk to you about Smith. I suppose I can start talking to you about him now. All right, last season, he was incredible, okay? Incredible. One of the best, in fact, probably the best player last season, I would say, Alex Smith. This season, though, he's far from it, and he's sort of only playing because, well, I'm not quite sure why he's still playing. Really, we probably should have dropped him by now, but his performances recently, they've not been good enough. Alex Smith, sort yourself out, all right? Have a little word with yourself and say, we need to play better than this. And hopefully a winter break will do him well and we get better performances from him out of the second half of the season. And we're looking for our third one with, again, Felipe Cruz into the middle. Tim Wright with his 4th goal of the season now. Tim Wright is playing very well this season. Tim Wright, you're showing Alex Smith how to play at the moment. So, Alex, if you can take some tips off Tim, that would be perfect. But it's a great ball from Cruz, who, again, is just phenomenal this season, and Smith unmarked at the far post, heads it into an empty net. So that pretty much confirms the win. Obviously, I think everyone is going away on international duty, so I'm not going to make any substitutes because I just can't be arsed right now, as Coley hits the crossbar himself, which is frustrating. That's twice now we've hit the woodwork, apparently, according to the stats. But as you can see, everyone playing extremely well, apart from Alex Smith on a 6.8 rating, and it's becoming regular now. So if we look at his form in the past few games, a 6.6, 6.6, 6.5, 6.7, 6.5, 6.8. It's not been good enough, really, has it? It's not been good enough. So we need to have a little conversation with him, warn him about his recent form, okay? Your form's been declining recently. Pick yourselves up in the next few matches. I agree, I've been disappointed. So hopefully after the winter break, we'll see a reformed character. So £500,000 for winning against Legia, and then £861,000 for first place in the group. That's a nice little bit of money, and an extra $215k for unallocated match prize money, apparently. That takes us on the cusp of £20 million in the bank. I think we can probably now afford to splash a bit of that over the winter break. So before we finish off then, let's have a look at who has qualified from the Europa League group stage, of the Swiss team specifically. So Young Boys did manage to get through in the end. Basel down here just missed out, but it does mean that they go into the Europa Conference League knockout stages because they finished third in their group. So at least they're still in Europe, which is good to see. If we drop down into the Conference League, St. Gallen won their group. That's fantastic as well. And then I think Lugano are down here. They've also qualified from their group. So all 5 Swiss teams are in European knockout stages in the second half of the season, which is fantastic. That'll do brilliant stuff, I think, for our European coefficient. Hopefully, we'll see an improvement. I think we're currently 10th, I believe. Yeah, we're currently 10th in the European coefficient. As long as we do better than like some Turkish, Austrian, we should do better than Scottish teams as well. We should start to push ourselves up a little bit, which might get us a few more places in Champions League and European football. To be fair, it doesn't actually get us that many. We get slightly better qualifying round draws, maybe. That might be slightly better, but we don't really get anything big until we break into the top 6. So that's the current aim, break into the top 6. But with 5 teams in the knockout stages of European football, that should be relatively achievable over the next few seasons. So that's it for today's episode. Next time we'll come back after the winter break, and we will do... How about Young Boys and Basel? Hey, Young Boys and Basel at the end of January. I think that will be a good episode to do. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And if you have done, please do drop a like on the video for me. I'd really appreciate that. And I will see you next time for some more Hop to the Top. Have a good one. Goodbye.